Hi, this is Ken Clark with AI Project Delivery. In this session, we're going to talk about AI project delivery for small businesses. We're going to turn ideas into action with agile AI and business acumen. I know that most of us are most interested in finding the latest and greatest AI solution to make our businesses better, make our lives better. But before we get into the specific technologies, I want to start with building a foundation. The name of my company is AI Project Delivery because it's not just about the tools, it's about how well you as an organization can bring in the revolutionary AI capabilities that are going to be coming at a rapid pace in the next 5 years. So I want to focus on culture and project methodology, and here's why it matters. Small businesses face issues of limited time and resources. And AI can level the playing field, but AI is like candy in a candy store. You have to be careful because if you try to eat it all, you're going to get a stomach ache. Another analogy is rather than focus on a specific AI solution for your company, I look at my mission more towards let's build a meal plan. Let's build a perpetual schedule of how you can continuously bring in AI capabilities to enhance your organization. So instead of like perhaps some of the AI service companies now are just finding one solution and they're just going to as many small businesses as they possibly can to deploy that one solution, I come at it from a different perspective. That perspective is I want to hyper focus on AI solution evaluation based on what's best for your business, not the shiny AI solution that I want everyone to adopt. From a small business perspective, every part of your organization can benefit from AI. So every department, for lack of a better word. So your sales, your operations, your accounting. Um, there's tools in each one of these arenas that can help you be more competitive. However, most AI solutions aren't quite baked yet, to be honest. I went to the University of Colorado Boulder last week, and there was a legal expert, and his expression was the legal tools today are like third year law students. Very powerful, add a lot of value, but they're not quite ready to go to court just yet. That doesn't mean that you can't use them to start with and then have a human come in and do the final part. However, AI is evolving so fast in different arenas. And so part of this evaluation process, first, does it add value to your business? And second is the technology easy to deploy? Is it available? So that's part of this hyper focus. Also, focus on low hanging fruit. Two things. A lot of companies already have AI capabilities that they can exploit. So if you have Office 365, Copilot is easy to plug in. If you have Google as your work environment, there's tons of AI that's almost plug and play with that. It's just a matter of exploiting it, and that goes back to the project delivery piece of, okay, not so much, okay, yeah, there's all these cool tools, but how do we efficiently and effectively bring those in on a consistent basic uh, path. And that goes back to the next step, which is build a roadmap. It's not good enough just to bring in, okay, there's some new cool tool that helps you, generate leads. Well, that's great, but how do we consistently use AI to do heavy lifting? How can we build a perpetual set of solutions? So again, instead of like hyper focusing on one menu and getting the ingredients and cooking it, it's more like, okay, let's plan out. Let's make sure we get the right, the right diet of the right meals at the right time. So the same thing with technology or the AI solutions. So I have tons and tons of practical experience, and so I'm going to share with you how to do it. There's always a lot of glitz and glamour of new tools and solutions, but the hard part is, well, how do you actually implement it? where it actually adds value. So we're gonna talk about that. Traditionally, there's two ways to implement a project. And again, the name of my company is AI Project Delivery. So this methodology is important. The two ways are waterfall and agile. And neither one's wrong, neither one's right. It's just they're used in different use cases. So waterfall project delivery is a sequential and rigid process, and it makes it hard to change in the middle of the project. Um, but that doesn't mean it's not a good methodology. For example, McDonald's, every time they open up a new restaurant, they probably use a waterfall project plan that tells them exactly what equipment to order, what the dimensions of the spaces should be, because they've done it so many times. And they spend a lot of energy in making sure that that works. It's very common in in the construction industry, right? You pour a foundation, you put the walls up, put the roof on, and then you worry about carpet and paint and all those other things. So it makes a lot of sense for some projects. But maybe I'm the only one, but most of us have probably been on like a 9 month waterfall project, where a result at the end was not what we expected or not what we wanted. Um, and so that's the downside, and that's why it doesn't work so well for startup businesses and for technology implementations. So a better way is the agile methodology, and that's a blanket term. There's tons of different ways of doing agile project delivery, but in principle, what it means is it's iterative and flexible, and it allows you more flexibility. It focuses on speed and adaptability before you have a big outlay. So generally speaking, in agile, you break the work down, like you list, all the work, but you kind of just say, okay, in the next 2 weeks, they call it a sprint. We're going to all hyper focus and get these couple of things done. I'm going to walk through that more, but just at this point, just understand the difference between the two, and a lot of the energy you'll see from me as I help show you how to implement these groundbreaking AI capabilities is I will be using the agile methodology a lot to walk you through it. So how do you do it? So how do you actually go to this building this quote unquote meal plan of AI solutions? The next 5 years is just going to be a revolution of technology. AI solutions are coming out and they're obsolete 3 months later. It's just going to continue to grow. So my premise is it's probably not a good time to go spend a large amount of money on a long AI solution because there's so many capabilities that are easily accessible now. But how do you do that? So we're going to talk about that. The first thing you do is you build a backlog of project opportunities. Notice I didn't say a backlog of projects. They're two different things. An opportunity is really just a good idea. And to be an innovative company, you want to promote people coming to you with good ideas or good opportunities. Could be your employees, could be your suppliers, could be your customers. And you just literally just put them on a list and you say these are all ideas. Not all of them are going to get turned into projects, and not all the projects are going to be delivered, but it doesn't hurt to capture that. Um, AI can level the playing field. So AI can really help some of these opportunities really come to fruition and deliver value for your company. But again, you're running your business like that's your core focus. Technology should be a multiplier. It shouldn't slow you down. And again, AI is like candy in a candy store. If all you try to do is just get every new shiny toy that comes out, you're going to be disappointed and you're going to be frustrated. So again, build a steady state. That's what we're going to focus on, building a meal plan, not a steady, perpetual way for you to continuously evolve your small business and really harness the power of the AI revolution. So we talked about build a backlog of opportunities and projects, but then you really want to at the top of that list, you're like, okay, what projects do we really want to do? What are feasible? So I've illustrated what an agile, this is called a Kanban board, But basically, you can see the backlog. So things that aren't currently something we're working on or in scope is maybe we want to create a custom AI model. Again, super heavy lift. Maybe want to automate onboarding for employees so that when someone starts, they automatically get email and access to shared directories and a computer, like everything is done automatically. Again, a heavy lift. Or maybe we just need more sales. And like one thing that AI is good at right now is things like generation leads and sales, automating the sales process. So these aren't in any particular order, but they are like things that the business owner's like, I do think that these would add value to my organization. Again, I come at it from the business's perspective more than the technical perspective. What moves the needle for your company? These aren't necessarily in the order of what we're going to do next, but they are high in the list. That's where at the top of the backlog. Now, inside the Agile sprint, so in other words, what are we going to do the next 2 weeks? I've illustrated 3 tasks. So notice we had to do, in progress, done, and close. And I'll talk about what that means later. But basically, in 2 weeks, we basically wanted to create an environment where a customer could order our product, or perhaps they could ask questions, or they could get support, etc. So all 3 of these have to be done at the end of the 2 weeks. But what this model does is it allows you to break it down into bite-sized pieces. So you can see the first thing is we need to build the logo, because creating a website that doesn't match the color scheme or the theme of the logo is probably not your best product. Once we have a website, then we can create a chatbot that the user can interact with to get information about the company. And so remember, you only have 2 weeks. This is the power of Agile. You only have 2 weeks to do all 3. So there's a law called Pareto's law, which is you get 80% of the value with 20% of the work. So we're going to get an 80% logo, and we need to move fast. It needs to be good enough so that we can create the website. And we can spend months creating the website, but it needs to be good enough, 80% of the value with 20% of the work, so that we can do the next step. Now, this doesn't mean that these aren't sequential. So in other words, while I'm building the logo, I can also be creating an account on the website chatbot tool. I can be creating a website and capturing a domain and doing things like that at the same time. But at the end of the 2 weeks, this has to be working. They call it a minimal viable product. So we have to have a logo, we have to have a website, and a chatbot. And then at the end of the 2 weeks, you can then decide on what to do next. The last thing I would say, what close means, like done means, okay, we finished it. It works the way we defined it to work. But closed means, is it really accepted? So if you're building by the customer, does the customer say it works as they ask? Or the employee, does it work the way it's asked? So it's just validating that you closed the feedback loop after you built it, that indeed it meets the requirements. So this is the Agile methodology. You have a backlog of all sorts of good ideas, and then you do like these sprints where you hyper focus. And the key is, again, it has to be at least a minimal viable. Maybe it's not the greatest logo, greatest website, or greatest chatbot, but at least you have one at the end of the 2 weeks. So now that was, back to the analogy, that was cooking a meal. So we created this way that our customers could interact with the website to get their questions answered. But we're building a meal plan. So you can see if we were to build a roadmap, and a roadmap is essential because it balances your quick wins, but it also gives you a long-term strategy. It ensures all your departments are aligned and working towards common goals. So you can see all of these are due Saturday. So that's the end of the 2 week sprint. And when this is done, this is the flexibility. You can say, you know what, now that we've seen the website and we interacted with the chatbot, we think that if we did another 2 weeks, that this would be even more valuable. So you can create a new sprint and enhance the website if that's what you choose. You have a very short feedback loop because it only takes you 2 weeks. What this illustrates, though, is, and these dates are nominal, but it basically illustrates that the next thing we would do is the employee onboarding, generate sales lead, create custom AI models, etc. So it kind of just puts it over time. Like maybe this is September, October, November, and again, it's not like a waterfall like this is a schedule, but at least you can predict, or you can project what you're doing. So why that's important is, let's say you really have your HR people that are really anxious to get this technology in. Well, they can see from this roadmap that, hey, I'm next in the queue. I just want to make sure that the team is super successful delivering this. Um, and I'm not competing. So what happens is, if you don't have a roadmap, then all four of these leaders come to you at the same time, and they're all fighting to go next. This, as a leader, this helps you really get everyone prioritized and everyone hyper focused, because the message is, well, as soon as we get this done, then you're next. Now the other thing is, this can change based on the two drivers again. Maybe you land a new customer, and now all of a sudden you really have a much heavier accounting lift. Well, you can. It's your backlog. You can create a new task, and you can move that to the top. And when the 2 week sprint's over, that can be your next thing to do. This gives you that flexibility. The other side, besides maybe your business changing and you having this high need, the other thing is, maybe there's some cool technology that comes out. Like maybe there's a plug and play sales generation AI tool that already works with your current ecosystem. And all you have to do literally is turn on a switch. Well, in that case, maybe you do move generate sales leads up to do next. But it gives you that flexibility to say, well, here, from a business perspective, here's what's important and here's what I should do next. But if something changes in my business or some technology breakthrough happens, this method gives you the capability to do that. And roadmap is really important because it enables everyone to kind of see where the direction is. A lot of what I just said is methodology. So I have the certifications, I have the experience, and it is a process, and it's like science, and it works. But like all things, there's also an art to delivering solutions. And one of the most artful things is to get really good at change management. So get your organization, your clients, your customers, your team used to um, evolving and improving in the AI space. One of the most important things with change management is to get the feedback throughout the delivery process, especially in the beginning. So if you're bringing an AI tool to help the customers get information. Make sure at the very beginning you're engaging customers, and make sure that technology, your requirements, specifically meet what they say would make their experience better. Include them throughout the process. There's a term called the definition of done, that your requirement should literally say what right looks like. What definition done is when I click on this, I see this, and I can do this. Like, it's very tangible, so that when you get to the end, even if you missed, even if it's not what the customer really needed or wanted, at least you delivered what was asked, and then you can evolve in the next sprint, to refine the requirements. The next thing is technical debt can drown you. Simplicity is its best. So all of us have probably at this point gone out and like signed up for ChatGPT, and you have to create an account, and enter your credit card, and then and there's an update, and then you have to have a computer, and you have to download it. And if you do that at scale over 20 different solutions, there's going to be technical debt. So technical debt is when the technology, the sheer burden of administering the technology drags you down, sort of like quicksand. So again, back to at the very beginning, there's so many opportunities to add value. The focus is really back to the 80% value with 20% effort. So what this methodology of building a roadmap and synchronizing this quote unquote meal plan does for you is that it helps you minimize the amount of technical debt. So if you have two different solutions that could do this task for you, but you've used the first solution on 10 other tasks, you probably want to use that same technology so you don't have multiple families coming in, things like that. It words are hard to describe it. When you actually see it in practice, it just makes a lot of sense. The other thing is, um, knowledge is not static. So if you bring in a chatbot or you bring in something that makes your team more efficient, you should create tools designed for evergreen access. So provide a training article or create a computer-based training module, because you're going to hire new employees, you're going to get new customers, you're going to get new suppliers. And so this is a system. Again, it's a meal plan, not a meal. So that when we bring in an AI solution, it's going to be completely done. We're going to write the requirements, we're going to test it, it's going to get approved, and we're going to document it, and it's going to be easy for anyone in the future to use it. So again, my company doesn't just bring in the shiny toy. It's like, no, we're going to make your company better, not just today, but perpetually. So change management is I would say, the most important part. If you don't do the art part, people aren't going to adopt it. People aren't going to use it. You have to listen, and you have to have this mindset. The path to success. And again, future videos will bring in specific technologies, and we'll go through this process so you can really, get into the AI and see how it can help you, and hopefully plug it right in. That's my goal, or for these videos, to help you build this ecosystem where you can, perpetually bring in technologies that solve a specific business problem. But before we get there, the path to success, again, I'm not trying to find one technology and sell it to 500 small businesses. I'm trying to help small businesses identify the things that move the needle for their business. And oftentimes they're the same, right? It's who doesn't need more sales, right? Who doesn't need more time back because they spend a lot of time in email or processes are broken? Who doesn't need to onboard faster? So a lot of the things I can serve all 500, but still we want to focus for you what's the most important thing. The second thing is, again, I covered it before, but this technology is just evolving so quick. You don't want to spend a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of money. Like, find high value solutions that meet your number one problems. A lot of times, again, you already have the tool. Like, it's cheap and cheerful. It's in your O365. Or you can use ChatGPT. Like, you can use the main brands. You don't have to have 15 different niche AI solutions at first. And then constantly manage the backlog. The business needs changed. I gave you examples of that. And then AI tools mature at different rates. We talked about that. But at least once a month, but perhaps at the end of every 2-week sprint, you can look at the backlog and, like, okay, what do we want to do next? And then, culture is everything. Reward that evergreen culture to always innovate. One of the things that I heard recently at a business meetup group was someone that was skeptical of using AI made this statement that I thought was super interesting. She's like, before I was skeptical that AI could take my job away because it's nuanced. But she's like, my new perspective is AI may not take my job, but someone that knows how to use AI well may take my job. And I'm not trying to replace anyone's job, but I'm just saying, to compete, the better you as a business owner know how to use and deploy AI and get your team to use and deploy AI, the more successful you're going to be. And those that don't use it, I'm afraid at some point will be at a disadvantage. Also, just bring in AI the new normal. Just embrace it, and that doesn't mean bring things in that aren't ready, but find areas in your business that make sense and get really good at bringing it in. So my company, AI Project Delivery, can help your business create a long-term strategy to harness the power of AI. And over a period of time, I will bring in different technologies that I think most small businesses can use, and I'll show you how to build them in this ecosystem. I've seen this thousands of times. I've seen thousands of projects delivered. I leverage this method myself in university settings, military settings, global 100, Fortune 100 companies. This methodology works. If you think about it, Google, which we all know and love, started out with just a text box and a button. And over time, it evolved through the agile methodology to be what it is. So it's nothing new, it's nothing unique, but this site is intentional at helping you not just find the best technology, but the best leadership and methodology to exploit to make sure your small business is successful. I've worked 20 years in all sorts of environments, so I know it works. Finally, I will be responsive if you try this methodology. I'd be happy if you reach out at info@Project Delivery. I'll do my best to answer your questions to help you have success. But also, I provide this service. So, in some instances, the small business is so busy that what may take you a week, just because I've done it so many times, maybe I can do in a day, and what you would pay me would be nominal compared to the value of your time. Because having done this methodology with probably 10 different teams, there are patterns and there are things on how to get it set up. But it's like most things, once you get it into your environment and running, then it's self-explanatory. But there is a little bit of a culture change, and there's some technical stuff. None of it's heavy. A lot of it is mindset. Generally, I can tell you, I've done this in like large corporations. Generally, what happens is when they see this success, then they go right back to the old way of waterfall. It's just burned into the DNA to do that. But I can help you with that and be successful. Or if not, again, reach out. My mission is to make sure small businesses are competitive, and it's a passion, and I really want you to win. I literally do. I want you to build the future, and I want to be part of it, and I want you to win. So again, thanks for making time. This is Ken with AI Project Delivery. Let's go build something that matters.